Kate, how many, well, I'll just go to a certain number of slides and then I'll stop.
Perfect. Sounds good, Em. I'll pick up where you tell me to pick up.
Let's see here. Good evening, everyone. We'll start in about a minute or two here. Thank you for being patient with us as we let everybody in. Emily and Kate, are we still getting some people coming in right now?
Yeah, it's gone up. Yep,
Gone
it
up.
keeps going up.
Okay. If you see Miss Loomis pop in, make sure you, if you don't mind, making her a co-host too.
Okay.
And once I get to yours, let me see here. I'm going to let you advance your own slides too. I think you should have that right. We
Okay.
good to go? Pretty good to go, you think?
Well, yeah, unless we're presenting, we won't, but yeah, we're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Welcome, NHS class of 2025 and parents. That's hard to believe, class of 2025. And notice I didn't say Hillside or Meads Mill. You won't hear me say that anymore. It's just a NHS class of 2025. My name is Tony Koski, and I'm proud to serve as principal at Northville High School. And tonight, I wish we were in person tonight, but we're gonna make do by doing a webinar tonight. And as we go along, just so I don't forget, we are gonna, you have a question and answer box. We're gonna take question and answers through that box and try to answer as many of those questions as we go along or at the end. Also joining me tonight are Emily Manugian, one of our counselors, and Kate Schultz, another one of our counselors, and Miss Janice Loomis, who is actually our senior grade level principal. And then she'll move to our freshman grade level principal next year. So she's gonna graduate this year and move down to the freshman class principal next year, grade level principal. So again, welcome tonight. So tonight is one of our, what we call one of our transition nights. And as I told students the other day, transition is a good thing. And what I mean by that is you can start fresh if you're not doing so well at Meads Mill or Hillside. Hillside I'm talking to right now. Or if you're doing well, keep doing what you're doing, students and parents. So it is a transition is an important word. Also, this is an orientation to the high school. One of a few of that we're doing. Your counselors have been in at Hillside. There's also on the next slide, there's a number of transition meetings we had. There's a little tour there that you could take with me. There's also the student panel. That one happens to be from Meads Mill from the other day. So if you, I know Hillside got, that was a little shortened the other day. So you can certainly watch that on your own time. There's also on Mustang Trail Communications for this past year, and you really get a good flavor of what the high school is all about. So I'm going to take probably about 5 minutes here and kind of, your son or daughter heard this the other day, but I think it's important that you're going to hear this again from me at freshman or freshman orientation in August, and I'll give you that date later on in the slideshow. But I'm going to talk about 4 things that I think are very important to be successful at the high school. And for those parents that have been through this presentation or our presentation before, nothing has changed. Not that much has changed. And what I mean by that is the 4 things for success, I think, in the high school haven't changed, and hopefully your son or daughters and the students out there will take these seriously. So the first thing is attendance. When you're at Northville High School, you want to be here. And a lot of times when there's issues, whether it's grades or other things, a lot of times it might come down to attendance, and not only be in attendance, but also be attentive in your class. The second piece of advice I always give is the understanding that your transcript starts, your grades and credits really start at the beginning of your freshman year. You're developing that transcript for after high school, whether it's going on to a college or university, 2-year, 4-year program, or even into the military or a job. It starts your transcript and your grades count in that first semester. And usually that first semester may be the one where the students might not do as well right away. They're transitioning, but you really want to plan to do well. And as I told your son or daughters the other day, also make sure you're finishing strong at the high school or at your middle school right now. Finish the year strong, because that's still to the high school. The third thing is just be a good person, whether it's in the virtual world or in the real world. Make sure you're being a good person, follow that golden rule. And that's so very important. And we won't spend much time on our student handbook in our code of conduct tonight, but we need to be good people. The last thing and maybe most important message I give tonight is get involved. Northville High School is a big high school. It's over 2,500 students. And how do you make a big school smaller? Well, you get involved in co-curriculars, whether it's clubs, whether it's music, whether it's sports. There's a lot of ways to make a big place small, and that's by getting involved. The other thing I just want to mention is the B word. You'll hear me say this over the next few words. What is the B word? That is the balance word. Find balance in your high school career. And what I mean by that is, when you get into your sophomore and junior years, you don't necessarily need to take 4 or 5 AP courses. Find your balance in what clubs you're involved. Find your balance in the courses you take. It's very important that you do that as you go through your high school years. You'll whether you've taken 1 AP course or 10 AP courses at the end of your high school career at Northville High School, you're going to be able to get into colleges and universities of most of your choices. So just want to make that clear. I am going to at this time, I think I'm going to advance the slides a little bit here. I already did that. So just I already mentioned a couple people, but this kind of gives our administrative team. Your grade level principal will be Miss Loomis, and she'll go with you every 4 years, or go through with you every year through your 4 years, transition with you every year. Along with your counselor, you'll have the same counselor for 4 years, along with your grade level principal. And Mr. Samolsky is our athletic director, and you can see our other grade level principals. And this is for next year. So, for example, Mr. Gordon is our 10th grade principal this year. He's our 11th grade principal next year. So, in this presentation will be put out to you through the counseling website. I believe the counselors will put that out on their website, and I'll give it out to Mr. Jones and Mr. O'Neill too, to punch out to you through school email or through a blast, a MyStar blast, so you get this. When you get a chance, make sure you click on that little link down below for that balance video. I'm not going to show that tonight, but it's a good video about that you'll enjoy, and it really talks a lot about that balance word, or doesn't talk about it, but represents it. So at this time, I'm hoping Miss Loomis is with us. Miss Loomis.
I am.
All right. I'd like to welcome Miss Loomis. She is your grade level principal. And she's going to talk a little bit about student expectations. She's not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I'm going to hand it over to her.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and to get to know everybody as we move forward these next 4 years. I'm not going to get too much into the handbook today because we'll go over that in the fall, but I will let you know our cell phone policy is that you can use your cell phones before and after school, and also during passing time and at lunch. Just in the classroom when teachers give you permission. Some resources for parents and students. We have our 6 counselors with 3 with you here tonight. They will be the ones who will continue with you through your 4 years. We have our social emotional learning counselor, social workers, our police liaison, parent connect. The most important thing here is probably Mr. Koski's Mustang Trail. which he puts out every Friday and is full of useful, up-to-date, the most up-to-date information. And then, of course, Schoology, Northville Youth Network is an organization in town that we partner with, and of course, PTSA. Arts and clubs. I divide them up into 4 areas. We have our competitive clubs, such as robotics. DECA is a business-oriented one. HOSA is health occupations. Model UN. Esports, the new one this year. Girls Go Cyber Start is another one. They won some awards. They started last year and already won some awards. We have a lot of caring clubs that just Hearts for Hospitals raised a toy fundraiser for hospitals this year. Forever Young works with senior centers. So lots of different clubs reaching out. Detroit Ed Society works tutors with disadvantaged youth in Detroit. We have just creative clubs. If you want to be in drama, or art club this year really grew virtually. You wouldn't always think that it would, but they've really thrived this year. And also just connecting with people with common interests, like in the biomedical engineering, we have a strong Polish club, environmental activism, and you can see the, the Young Life or table tennis. So lots of variety, something for everybody. You'll get to know some tonight. And then in September, applications to start a new club come out. And also September is a big month for announcements for when there are club meetings. And they also put them on that club's listing. We started that this year, where a lot of the clubs put the meeting dates and links on that listing. So that's a great resource for you.
Ms. Loomis, can you explain a little bit more if I wanted to start a club, how I would do that?
So in September, we have an application that's digital, and you fill out kind of what your purpose of your club is, what you hope to achieve, how often you plan on meeting, and also who is your advisor. It's important to have an advisor who's usually a teacher in the building. So you submit that, and then we review it and let you know.
And can you tell the kids how they can sign up for clubs? We just had that question.
So usually there are the club meeting announcements. Also, Mr. Koski puts some in the Mustang Trail when clubs are advertising meetings and looking for new members. They put those announcements there. So once school starts is a lot of it, but also tonight, if most of our clubs have flyers, or they have someone who has a Zoom meeting set up. So on that link that's on that slide, but also I know was sent out. There's information for all the clubs. Many of them have social media accounts too. So kind of once you click on their links or go to meetings, you can get that information.
Ms. Loomis, can you access that club information from our website?
You can, yes, it's under our clubs and the activities. Thanks, Ms. Manugian.
So one thing I again want to emphasize the different types of clubs. One way to look at it is what is on our screen right now, but I'll even break it down further. There's probably 3 types of clubs from my viewpoint. There's a competitive clubs like robotics, DECA, HOSA, which is listed up here. Those are the competitive clubs. There's the clubs. We have some athletic clubs that aren't part of the MHSA, Michigan Athletic High School Athletic Association. Things like figure skating and girls hockey and a few other athletic clubs. And then there's just clubs, whether it's fishing club or frisbee club or ping pong club. And remember, all these are almost all of these are student-led and student-driven. They have an advisor, but they're a very important piece of Northville High School. I always talk about 4 pieces of Northville High School. First is the academics, and most importantly, second is our fine and performing arts, our music, and our arts. Third is our athletic programs, and then fourth is our clubs, which makes us kind of unique, anywhere from 125 to 200 clubs each year. So very important. Ms. Loomis, anything else there? Oh,
all right. I just have a question relating to clubs. It asked, does it? Oh, I just lost it. Sorry. do being a part of clubs help in your college applications? It can, absolutely. Being committed and taking a leadership role in something, whether that's clubs, sports, whatever, colleges do like to see that. They don't like to see a grocery list in your junior year, you join 10 clubs just to put them on your college resume or college application. But they do like to see commitment. So yes, joining at least 1 or 2 clubs that your kid or student is passionate about, that they can write an essay about of why they join these, is definitely going to help their college application process.
And I will say this, the video of the student panel from the other day, it really gets a student perspective about clubs. And I think they would say, and I would agree, our students would say, you know, in your freshman and even your sophomore year, you might be experimenting with a few more clubs, but you really want to kind of hone it in a little bit more in your junior and senior year. And that's that balance word I talked about. You're not going to do 6, 8 clubs well. You might have 1, 2, or 3 clubs that you're really involved in. So it's a very important piece to that balance word. But I would also say this: it's not about the college application just. In fact, I would hope that would be the secondary reason why you're joining a club. The first reason why you're joining a club is because you have a passion for it. And you really want to have a passion for it. You want to be with like-minded people and really do things that you are really passionate about. So I'm going to continue to monitor that Q&A. Remember, you can certainly put questions in the Q&A, and we'll hopefully eventually get to them. I'm going to move us on, Ms. Loomis. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
I'll try to move us on here. Oh, am I frozen here? Next slide. With me? There we go. So I'm going to talk a little bit about scheduling. First of all, we plan to be here fully next year. That's, you know, everybody has that question. Our plan is to be at Northfield High School in a full return with all of our students. And so what that means is we'd probably go back to a more regular schedule. And I'm going to talk about that schedule, but I'm also going to say a few things that may or may not happen, depending. So you have, in a block schedule, you have A days and B days. And then we also have a C day in our block schedule. So on your A days are on Monday and Wednesdays. And you might, for example, have your math class, you might have 2A. So you might have your math class on Monday, Wednesday, and then on Friday for 45 minutes. On Monday and Wednesday, you have it for 90 minutes. And then on Friday, you have it for 45 minutes in our C day. Your English class might be on 2B on 2B on B days. So you would have your English class on Tuesday and Thursday, and then you would have it also for 45 minutes on Friday. So you're going to choose seven classes you'll have, and you'll also have your seminar, which I'll talk about in a little bit here. And I also want to say, you know, things might adjust a little bit next year. Our lunches might look a little differently depending. Our C days might look a little differently, but I just want to speak to what our normal schedule looks like next year. But we hope to be on the schedule next year, and we certainly believe we'll be in a full return next year. So I just wanted to mention that. Seminar, probably one of the most important, but yet sometimes underutilized. I don't want to call it intervention, but opportunity you have. So seminar happens every Monday and Wednesday. It's the first 90 minutes on A days. So on 1A and on 1A on Monday and Wednesday is our seminar period. Students can go see any teacher they want for the first 70 minutes of seminar. So they can visit any teacher in the building that they want for the first 70 minutes of seminar. So you might have a test the next day, go see your teacher, and you might have a test in math, go see that math teacher or any other math teacher. We suggest you see the math teacher that you have, but you can see any other math teacher. You might have a project you're working on, go see that teacher, but again, take advantage of the seminar. There's what's called blended seminar. Really, seminar doesn't start. There's a required report time for 20 minutes, but it's really up to the student and more so the parents, whether your son or daughter comes right at the beginning of the day at 7:20 on Monday and Wednesdays, or they come at 8:30, so they might get a little extra sleep. And great parenting tool I use it as a parenting tool. I have or had high school students, and I say, hey, if you're doing well in your classes, then you can sleep in at times. If you need to see if you might not be doing so well with a class, then I'll require them to come in. But it's a great opportunity for students, and sometimes also underutilized by students and even parents. So just wanted to go through that. Any questions in the Q&A right now before we go on to athletics?
Actually, I do have one that I don't know the answer to. Is there an equestrian team under the athletic department, or is a club organization? I know we used to have one, Mr. Koski.
Yep, we do have an equestrian team. Yes, we do.
Okay, there you go.
So Ms. Loomis, correct? Still? Yeah, equestrian team, we still do have that as a club sport. Oh, Ms. Loomis is disagreeing with me.
Oh,
I think they're not active this year, but I know that an advisor has already reached out about next year, so.
It's very, probably this year they were not active, so, but we have had
Right,
in the past several years, obviously with
Yes.
COVID, a little different story, so, yep.
and it's through the clubs and activities.
Yep.
Not the athletic department.
Not through MHSA, it's through athletics, so. So Mr. Samulski is actually at our hockey regional game tonight, so he couldn't be with us tonight. Mr. Samulski is a wonderful athletic director. If you have questions tonight, make sure you're emailing him, but I will take his slides tonight also. So we talked about a little bit already about, not so much, but we'll talk more about academics, the most important thing. We've talked a little bit about clubs, and we'll talk more a little bit about music and music choices and art choices a little bit later on too. But one thing we need to talk about is also athletics. We have a very strong athletic program. As you can see, we have lots of different teams. And there happens to be 9 separate freshman team along with the 6 athletic club teams. We talked about a few of them, including, figure skating and equestrian, and a few others, girls hockey and so forth. Rowing is a club of ours, so very popular club. So those are some of our athletic clubs. But we have a lot of opportunities for students. Some are cut sports, some are not. Basketball is currently going on. That's a cut sport. Swim is currently going on. Boys swim, that is a non-cut sport. So lots of opportunities for students. Extracurricular, you have to have a certain GPA, and you also have to be passing 5 out of 7 courses. We also follow a code of conduct. Extracurriculars are just that. They are extra, and they are not a privilege. They really are, or I should say, they are a privilege. They are not a right. So it's very important to understand that we do follow a code of conduct 365 as far as that goes. Physicals, just to make very clear, make sure you're getting your physical for your sport after April 15th this year. So if you've gotten a physical already for next year, it's not gonna work for you. So make sure you wait till after April 15th, and our physical forms, MHSA physical forms, can be found on our website. I'm not going to get a lot into this. If we do have questions, we have Kate Schultz, who is very good with our one of our counselors, kind of in charge of our NCAA as far as requirements. And we don't really want to talk about that tonight, but if your son or daughter does have aspirations to play Division I or Division II athletics, be a student athlete at that level, there are certain things he or she does need to do.
Mr. Koski, we have a couple of questions rolling in regarding, can you say a little bit more about what a cut sport is?
Yes, so a cut sport or a tryout sport, I guess you could say. So I'm going to give a couple more examples. For example, I'm going to go with the basketball team example, whether it's girls or boys basketball team. They carry a certain number of student athletes on each team. For example, a lot of times basketball keeps anywhere from 12 to 15 on each team. So the freshman team keeps 12 to 15. The JV team keeps 12 to 15, and the varsity team keeps 12 to 15. So unfortunately, the rest, some people try out and don't make those teams. Whereas sports like girls swim, boys swim, track, everybody is makes the team. Now they participate at different levels, but everybody is part of the team. So that you have to try out. What I mean by a cut sport, there are cuts. Not everybody makes it. You have to try out to make the team. So, any other athletic questions in the Q&A right now?
I don't think so.
All right, well, we're gonna now hand it over to our counselors. We have 2 out of our 3 counselors today. We have Ms. Schultz with us, Ms. Nugian, and we have great counselors for our class of 2025. And I'm gonna hand it over to Ms. Schultz and Ms. Nugian, and Ms. Nugian and Ms. Schultz, make sure you are in control of the presentation now.
Okay, we can't be in, we can't unless we like unshare and then reshare the
Never
screen.
mind.
So
I will be in control of presentation.
I'll just tell you when to click slides, but I'm typing an answer to a question right now.
Okay, I'm going to the next
But I am
slide.
supposed to start, so. Okay, so I'm typing a response to somebody regarding whether we'll be in school in full in the fall and with masks, and I'm just stating that it's unknown at this time. The district is planning to have a full return to school, but in terms of spacing and masks and things like that, I think that's still undecided at this time. Is that correct, Mr. Koski?
Yeah, I will just answer that. Our plan has been, and if anybody has been at the last few board meetings, our plan is to be in a full return next year. As far as masks, time will tell that. If I were a betting person, I would think masks might still be around. But again, too early to tell that. And same thing with spacing. Our plans on spacing may be different next year. But again, our plan is to be in a full return next year. So registration.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. All right, registration. So thank you all for coming tonight. We've had Ms. Schultz, Ms. Kemp, and I have had the great opportunity of visiting all of the middle schoolers. We spent a week at Meads Mill and then a week at Hillside. And it was great to be able to work with the kids one-on-one and talk about their schedules and answer their questions. So that was a good experience. A lot of information was provided to the students at that time. All students were sent a class of 2025 registration links document from their counselor. So it might have come from either Ms. Hart, Mr. Wickens, or Mrs. B at Meads. And so those links are all like, that's the main document that has everything a student might need to be successful in the registration process. I've also included them on this presentation, which will also be sent out to you by your middle school principal. So there is a registration checklist, and I put that first because I think that is one of the most important documents. It goes over all the things that the students need to do in order to be complete with their registration. The graduation requirements are a very useful tool that's also linked here, but it's also part of the checklist as well. The graduation requirements are a good tool as students are doing the planning with their electives. The student registration instructions, this covers how to enter your classes into MyStar. On Friday, there was a glitch with MyStar and students were not being able to add and edit, but I believe I did resolve that on Friday afternoon. So it should be up and running, but if you are still having problems with it, I would reach out to your high school counselor, and I will try to continue to work on that and see how to resolve that. But the students should have until March 18th at 11:59 p.m. to enter their courses into MyStar. And there was quite a few questions in the chat regarding entering alternates into MyStar. So you're going to have a list of 16 courses. Once you count 16 down your list, then that's when you would start entering your alternates in. You would add them in just like any other class where you type them in the little search box, click add selected class. The only thing that you would do differently is next to that class, once it's added on your list, there's a drop down box, and that's where you would tell me what is that the alternate for. So for example, if in your top 16 you had listed team sports, and that's the gym class that you would like, then your alternate might be physical conditioning. So you would have physical conditioning down at the bottom of your list, and then next to physical conditioning, you would utilize the alternate for team sports, and you would select team sports. It's a little tricky, but the instructions are helpful. So if you are having a hard time, maybe reread over those. You're also welcome to contact us as well.
So there's some parents commenting on the Google Doc to register is not publicly available. That's because you do not have an NHS email.
Yeah,
So it is
it's for
designed
students
the
only.
student. It's for students
Yep.
only. So they need to fill it out.
You're welcome to sit next to your student as they fill out the document, but they do need to utilize their Northville Public Schools email to complete the Google form. The course selection sheet is another, it's just a 2-page document that shows courses available to 9th graders. So that's a good starting spot. The course catalog is a great document as well, but it's full of all of our courses. It's a 100-page document, so it's a little bit larger. I would recommend starting with the course sheet and looking at that 2-page document so students can see what is available to them in terms of electives. And then if they're needing to know descriptions, you would utilize the course catalog or prerequisites, you would look in the course catalog for that. So again, the MyStar window will be open till the 18th at midnight or 11:59. And I'll double check that tomorrow morning just to make sure that it is actually open and 8th grade students are able to see what they need to see. Next slide, Mr. Koski.
Yeah, I'm going to add one thing as we're going through this. So I just want to note, we're a big high school and we actually do something a little differently than most high schools. We allow our schedule to be built by student selections. We don't say, all right, we're going to have this many health classes or this many PE classes. We let the students choose, the students and parents choose what they want, and then we build our schedule from that. Why I say that is so very important that you take the time to select the correct classes for your son or daughter with them. And notice I said with them, part of that transition into the high school is making students more accountable for what they're doing. So please fill it out with them, not for them. The second thing is the alternates are so very important. There is a good chance you won't get everything on your schedule. That's why on your first choices. So it's so very important to pick your alternates as you pick the rest of your schedule also. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. And that was just a question. What criteria is used to allocate kids to a specific elective? Why do they need to choose multiple options for electives? So just for that scenario, especially if your student is taking honors math, honors English, they might not all fit with where that one PE class may only be 2 spots, and your honors English and your honors math has to go there. So it's really like a jigsaw puzzle, and sometimes it always doesn't work out to get all 8 classes each semester that you have elected. So that's why we ask for alternates. Also, when you get to your senior year, we do give senior priorities for some classes. And that's why, because they only have 1 year to do it. So that's another reason why they might not get an elective.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to kind of breeze over this because a lot of this we have talked about, but the student requests do determine our sections, like Mr. Koski said. So it is important to really make some thoughtful choices. Very minimal changes are made after the final schedule is released and the students pick up their schedules in August. Students are entering their math and world language and their electives into MyStar. So most students, well, all students already have preloaded their English, science, social studies, and seminar. And if there needs to be a change to that, for example, if a student was recommended for honors English 9, but English 9 was preloaded, it would be really helpful if the student would write that in that Google form. So the class of 2025 registration Google form, there's a notes to counselor box. And if you could utilize that notes to counselor box to share with us that you were recommended for honors English 9 and you would like to take that, then we can make that change as we're processing that document.
So there were a lot of questions about that, Ms. Manoogian, about honors. So I hope everyone got that. Honors, can you repeat that, Ms. Manoogian, for honors English?
Yeah, yes, for honors English 9, you would not add that into your course request. You would just add that, or you would make a note of that in your Google Doc. In the notes to counselor, you would type that you were recommended for honors English 9 and that you would like to take it. And your counselor can make that adjustment as we process Google form responses.
Thank you.
Okay. But in regards to your math, you will be entering in your math. Remember, we're entering in A and B. So if you're doing Algebra 1 next year, you're entering in Algebra 1A to indicate first semester and Algebra 1B to indicate second semester. And then that will be a full year course, just like you see with biology A and biology B, US history A, US history B, and so on. You're also going to enter in your world language, which is based off of your recommendation from your world language teacher. So please talk with them if you're not sure which world language to enter in. Students will use their MyStar ID and password. They'll input their selections. And this year we did it a little bit flip-flop. The counselors came first, and then the students will be entering in. If time permits, we will try to pop back to the middle schools for a couple days just to answer up any last-minute questions or do some schedule cleanup. If you have questions, you are welcome to email your child's high school counselor, or even better, if the student emails us, that would be great. I love hearing from the students. Okay, next slide. Graduation requirements. So this document is linked in the class of 2025 important registration links, the document that was sent to all students about a week and a half ago from their middle school principal or counselor. So just to kind of run through them, 4 credits of English. So that means students will be taking English all 4 years of high school. 4 credits of math. Students will be taking math all 4 years of high school. 3 credits of social studies, including US history, which students will be taking in 9th grade. Civics and economics are oftentimes taken in 10th grade, 1 each semester. And then world history is generally taken in 11th grade. Students are welcome to continue to pursue social studies in 12th grade, but once they have their 3 credits, they technically can be done. Same with science. They'll have 1 year of biology, 1 year of chemistry or physics, and then 1 year of an additional science, which is up to them. It's a science elective. It can be our Project Lead the Way biomedical science. I think someone asked that earlier. It can be some of our other science electives. And again, students are welcome to continue with 4 years of science, and they have 4 credits of science. But they're also welcome to stop after they've earned the 3 credits in these areas. Next slide.
I'm just going to add one thing. I'm sure the counselors will say this. Every year that you move up from your freshman to sophomore, sophomore to junior, junior to senior, you get more choices in your schedule. You don't have as many requirements. So that's important to note, that as you move up in your grade, you get more choice in your schedule, and that's very intentional, because that allows you to gear into more what you may be thinking about in college.
Yes, I equate it to a video game or a computer game. Each level that you pass, you unlock new cool tools and features, and it allows you to do more things. So that's just like high school. World language, so 2 credits or 2 years of the same world language. So that would mean sticking with the current world language that you might be completing. If you are looking to switch world languages, that's not a problem, but you would have to still get the 2 credits of the world language at the high school level then, because you'd be switching. 1 credit of visual, performing, and applied arts. So there's a number of classes that fall into this category, and only 1 credit is needed. Our students will take probably plenty other electives along with this, but we have business classes. Our instrumental or vocal music classes count as this, and then our art and industrial or applied technology classes. So there's a number of classes that fall under this. It's generally pretty easy for students to obtain that. 2 credits of seminar, so they'll take seminar all 4 years of high school. It will always be in the 1A spot, and we hope that students utilize that time that they are given. An online experience. This does not mean that you have to take an online class. We do offer online classes, but they're not required. So students are welcome to take online classes. That's one of the things you unlock as you move up from 8th grade level to 9th grade level. But you're not required to take those. The online experience can be embedded in, or is embedded in, your other classes. My computer is telling me my internet connection is unstable, so hopefully you guys can still hear me. 0.5 credit or 1 semester of health, and then 0.5 credit of PE as well. Health, there is only one class to take of that 1 semester to take of it, but students are also welcome to take PE additional credits than just the 0.5. They can take PE every year if they'd like. Okay.
I'm going to make just a comment with the health. You can certainly take it in any grade, 9 through 12. My suggestion is to take it earlier in your freshman year if you can fit it in, because those are subject areas or topics that you really need to have the tools from that class you really need to have over your 4 years of high school. And again, that's just my opinion. I don't know if the counselors want to add to that.
Yeah,
So
and
I-
all the,
Go
well,
ahead.
and all the visits that we've done, we're recommending health and PE in the 9th grade year.
Before we get into that, we're getting so many questions. I can't keep up. So can I do some of these live?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, let's take a minute to do that.
If your student gets a recommendation to skip to Spanish 2, do they just have one Spanish course to complete for graduation? I don't think they're going to get recommended to skip Spanish 2, but if they got their Spanish 1 and they got a C or better in Spanish 1 in 8th grade, then they are being recommended for Spanish 2 and taking Spanish 2 at the high school. And yes, after that Spanish 2, they have met the requirement of 2 years of the same foreign language. So they would be good for graduation. Does seminar count as part of your 16 classes? Yes, it does. Seminar A and B count for part of your 16 classes. If we take PE each year, do we get a half a credit each year? So you can only repeat the physical conditioning and advanced conditioning PE courses. So once you've had team sports, individual sports, what am I, PE fundamentals, then really the only class in advanced lifeguarding, the only ones you can repeat are advanced lifeguarding and physical conditioning and advanced conditioning. So yes, and you'll get a half credit for each of those each time you take it.
Another class, another PE class is rackets. And I think our new class you can also retake. Is that correct too? Physical conditioning you can retake, advanced physical conditioning.
Wellness, can you retake wellness and balanced lifestyles? That's
Yes,
great.
you
I was
can.
hoping that students could do that.
Yeah, you can do that. And that's a great new class too.
Great. For language, is it a full year? French A, French B? Yes. French 1A, French 1B, French 2A, French 2B. World language is a full year. Does sign language count towards the language requirement? Yes. ASL, American Sign Language, does count for the language requirement.
We don't offer it in seat, but it is an online class that students can take.
2 years.
For MyStar, when we pick our classes, what do you put in the drop boxes? And Ms. Madigan, do you want to explain that?
Well, you only use the drop-down boxes for the alternate classes. So you're not using if it's a class that you want, like if it's Algebra 1, that might not be a class you want, but that's a class you have to have. You wouldn't use the drop-down box next to it because you have to take that. So you're not telling me that that's an alternate. So you're only using the drop-down box for the 4 extra classes you add in at the end.
And then it looks like we have some parents from other districts here as well. How will a student sign up for classes if they come from another school? If you are coming from another school, how do you place into classes such as honors or geometry? So we have new enrollment sessions for those incoming 9th graders coming from a different school, and you'll work with your counselor individually to come up and schedule classes and get you placed into classes that you need to be in. So those will, go ahead.
Yeah, you would have to enroll in the district first, and then once you enroll in the district, that will get the ball rolling. It would indicate, the district would indicate to our counseling office that there's been a new enrollment, and then our administrative assistant will organize small new enrollment meeting groups, and we'll probably have those in April and May.
And we will get you classes, but just the sooner the better you enroll, because that will give you an earlier date to get into talk to our counselors.
Where do I find the link to the student registration instructions?
It would be on the class of 2025 registration links. It was a document that was emailed out to all students and all parents last week or the week before.
If you're an out of district student right now, if you're not in district, it's on our website, correct?
Well, it's not, but they wouldn't need those instructions because
Okay.
they're not entering classes into MyStar.
Thank you. Yeah, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah, because you would do that if you're an out of district person, you would be doing that with the counselor when you're having your new enrollment meeting.
Do you put an alternate for health too? You can. I mean, you'll probably get health. We run a lot of health sections, but it doesn't hurt to put alternates in there. What does it mean to have 16 courses? 16 courses mean if you literally counted each course when you put on all your requests, you would have 16 of them. And then you want 4 extra for the alternate. So you should count down and you should count 20.
So in MyStar, you should see a list and you should be able to count Seminar A, that's 1, Seminar B, that's 2, Algebra 1A, that's 3, and so on and so forth.
If my child is completed or tested out of the prerequisite class, can we advance to the next level class for the electives? Any limitations for freshmen for certain level classes? Obviously, they're freshmen, they're getting their feet wet. So typically no AP classes, no IB classes. For electives, as long as they have, I'm not sure if you're talking electives or core classes, but like if they wanted to try to test out a business tech 1, they could do that and move into web development and design, which is the business tech 1 is a prereq for business tech 2. So yes, they can advance to the next level if they test out.
I just want to make sure that by no means does anybody have to test out, or that by no means does anybody have to take summer school. That's a personal choice. But you're fine without doing those things.
Yeah, Mr. Kroski, I want to kind of go off of that because in meeting with the middle schoolers, I've had a lot of students, even my current 10th graders who will be 11th graders, want to advance in summer school. I want to take this math to advance in math. We highly do not recommend that to parents, to let your students do that. Our IB math teacher emailed me back after I shared my concerns with the math teachers and just said, you are creating a foundation, especially in math, that builds off each other. And if you don't build it solid, that foundation is going to crumble in AP Calc. And that's where we see that foundation that is not well put together crumble. And that can affect a lot of things in the future, right? GPA, all that kind of stuff when we're talking about that. So please, math is especially one of the ones that we don't. And there's no reason for you guys to take health or PE or civics or econ over the summer. You'll hear a lot of kids want to do it or doing it, but please don't feel the pressure. You have enough room in your 4 years at Northville High School that by the time you get to senior year, your only classes are going to be English and math. So you'll have 5 electives each semester to fill in your senior year. So there is no reason for you to try to advance and get all these classes out of the summer. And for those students that have been virtual for over a year now and will be virtual until June, your eyes and your brain need a break. Those kids' eyes need a break. So there is no reason to go and take an online class in summer school. So please just think about that before you sign up. I know there is a lot of summer school questions on here. How do you sign up for summer courses? We have a great summer school website. It's all done through central office. And the website is under academics on Northville High School's webpage and under summer school.
I'm gonna move us on right now. We'll continue to take questions, but we do want to get through the whole presentation. So we'll stop. We're gonna move on and then answer more questions as we go. So otherwise, because we only have till 7:05, maybe 7. So.
Okay. English. So English was preloaded in. We're already aware of that. Regular English 9. I already spoke about how to add in the honors English 9. Your teachers will be documenting what they recommend for you, but it is very helpful in that Google form for me to hear it from the student that they do want to take it, because even if a teacher recommends you for honors English 9, you don't have to take that. You are absolutely okay to stay in regular English 9. So just know that. There are English electives, drama, speech, intro to journalism, and independent studies and literature. So if you really like English, you could take your English class that you need to graduate, and then in addition to that, you could also sign up for English electives. Okay, next. Math. Math is required for all 4 years. And again, so back to the rushing through things, like rushing to where, friends? This is not a race. You're stuck with us for 4 years, so you'll have plenty of time to fill your schedule in that 4 years. No need to take summer school, no need to test out. It will all fit. So required math 2 semesters. So you'll be entering, this is based off your teacher recommendation. So again, I think a lot of you are already aware of this. You'll be entering in the math that you will be doing. If you plan to take something in summer school, a math in summer school, then you would enter in the next consecutive class that you would want to take. So for example, if you do plan to do geometry in summer school, even though we don't recommend it, you would enter in algebra 2 into your schedule for next year. Okay.
And I do need to say this, there are exceptions to summer school. There are exceptions to testing out. It has to be for the right reasons though. You know, we're just making general statements about that, but it truly has to be for the right reasons, in that balance we're continues to come to the surface.
Science, biology is required. That's why it's preloaded, 2 semesters, A and B. There's also a project Lead the Way biomedical science as an elective option. If you're really passionate about science and you enjoy science, you can certainly take that class in addition to your biology class next year. Social studies, so again, US history, it's required by the state of Michigan. So 2 semesters, full year of US history. There are US social studies electives that you could take as well, big history or contemporary global issues, if you're interested in having additional social studies in your schedule. World language, 2 credits of the same world language, and this is again based off of teacher recommendation. So you will be entering in your language placement based on your teacher's recommendation. If you do want to switch languages, that is okay. However, you would be starting fresh with earning those 2 credits at the high school level.
And again, recommendations, if you've gotten a C or better in those classes, you will move to that next level. And again, I know a letter went out on that.
Okay. VPAA elective. So again, this is 1.0 credits and pretty easy to obtain over the course of 4 years. If a student is doing 9th grade band or varsity choir or any of our ensembles, that gets it right there, then it's all done. But certainly that's not the only way to get it. Our art classes count, business classes, applied tech. So most likely students will come across 1 or 2 of these classes in their high school career, and that will meet this requirement. Other requirements, online learning experience. Like I mentioned, this is embedded in our NHS classes already, so it's not required to take an online class, so don't confuse those. Of course, you're welcome to take an online class if that interests you. There is on our website under academics, online learning, you can see a list of courses with their descriptions and the process for adding those into your schedule. Health and PE. Health is 0.5 credits and you do need that to graduate, and then PE you also need 0.5 credit PE to graduate as well.
And there are 2 choices in health, if you notice that, note that.
Can someone explain that? Because there was a question about what does the health AO and health AB mean?
Yeah, I would. The course catalog has descriptions of each of those. The AB and the AO are in regards to our human sexuality units. And that's usually a discussion that is with the family. Okay, I'm gonna let Ms. Schultz take it over.
I'm just finishing, hold on, I'm just finishing answering.
Oh, okay. I'll keep talking then. Additional learning opportunity.
Sorry.
It's okay. I know the pressure to answer the questions. Additional learning opportunities. So we do have, Northville has, it truly is a world of opportunities. I think that's the tagline somewhere. There's just so many great opportunities for students. And again, I equate this to the video game. As you pass through the levels or the grades, more of these open up for you. So the International Baccalaureate, we do have a full diploma program, and that would be in grades 11 and 12. So it's not open to 9th or 10th grade students. However, there are ways in 10th grade you can take personal project or IB personal project class to get exposure to the IB and see if that would be something you would consider. Students are also welcome to take the IB DP courses just as part of their schedule, so not as a full DP student. So we don't limit those to just DP students. We have advanced placement courses, a wide variety of them. Project Lead the Way courses, a wide variety of those as well. And those classes are, from what I hear, the students just love them. They're very interactive, and the students enjoy that type of learning. Dual enrollment, students are able to take college courses as long as they're approved. So, and that tends to open up more in 10th, 11th, or 12th grade. So not necessarily something that a lot of 9th graders capitalize on, but these are things that a lot of the times are opened up later. And then we are partnered with 2 career tech centers, Livonia Career Tech and Ford Tech, and provide busing to both of those. And those classes are also open up to students in 11th and 12th grade. We have internships, co-ops, peer-to-peer links, teacher cadet. So lots of opportunities. These are all great conversations to have with your school counselor, what you want to get into high school and you want to learn more about them. I love having these conversations with students to explore all these options.
I'm going to add a couple things right now, if you don't mind, counselors. First of all, there are a lot of tools. I always use this phrase, there's a lot of tools in the toolbox for our students, or a lot of opportunities. And too many times in our high school, people think they have to take this many AP classes or this many IB classes, and that's not the truth. If you get a diploma from Northville High School, you're going to get into most colleges and universities that you want to. Maybe not everyone, but most. So every student, and that brings me kind of to my next conversation, I'm going to use my personal daughters as an example. I have 3 daughters. They're very different. And I personally schedule them, work with their schedules very differently. So if you've had a son or daughter go before, my piece of advice is every student is individual. There's a lot of opportunities and tools and toolbox for each student. And there's so many programs that students may not take advantage of that they could. For example, tech programs in your 11th and 12th grade year, looking at internships in your 11th and 12th grade year. And a lot of them are later on, but I just need to mention that there's a lot of different opportunities for students, and that's what I'm really proud of. One of the many things I'm very proud of at Northville High School. So just needed to mention that. Counselors, anything, how about we do this? How about I go over this freshman orientation slide, and then we're going to take we're not going to get to every question tonight in the Q&A. I apologize. We'll try to take some of the highlights verbally, but we're not going to get to every one of them. I do want to mention freshman orientation, another very important transition date, probably the most important transition date or orientation date. Tentatively scheduled for Thursday, August 26th. Usually it's from about 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And I will tell you this, this is, and I'm not just saying this, this is the most outstanding freshman orientation in the country. I would compare it with anybody, and I truly mean that. It's led by our student Congress members. We were able to have live sessions this past year. They looked a little differently. I believe that they'll look a little bit more normal even this August. So definitely put this on your calendar. You know, at the same time, things like you'll have your schedules by then. You'll go through your schedules. You know, lockers, pictures, registration, all those things will happen. Get your books. Very important that you're able to attend this. If you don't, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but we really get this on your calendar. We strongly suggest you put this on your calendar, be here for this day. Also, that same night, we have a parent meeting, and it's usually at 7 o'clock. So tentatively to plan for 7 o'clock. And we have kind of some of these same conversations, along with, we have a student panel that parents are able to ask, it's mainly for parents, are able to ask questions. Especially, we do this intentionally after the freshman orientation, after the students come home and share what happened on that day. Parents are able to come back that night and ask some questions. So that's a very important night to put on your calendar. I'm not gonna close. We'll take probably 5 minutes or so of questions and answer the big ones out of Q&A. But before I do that, again, like to welcome again the NHS class of 2025. Again, that's weird to say, but welcome NHS class of 2025, the students and the parents. And again, it's not Meads Mill or Hillside anymore. It's the NHS class of 2025. Take the time to really sit down with your son or daughter over the next few days to look at that schedule. And again, I want to note it. I want to note what I said. Take the time with your son or daughter, not do it for them. It's that part of that transition is also to make them in charge of their learning at this time. And that starts with working together as a team, as a parent, son or daughter team, and scheduling their classes. With that being said, we'll open it up to, let's take the kind of the bigger questions right now. And again, we'll probably go till 7:05 here, answering as many questions as we can. And you can always follow up with questions to your individual counselors or grade level principal or myself, Ms. Loomis or myself, so through email. But with that being said, big questions, Ms. Manugian, Ms. Schultz, Ms. Loomis, what do we have there?
Language questions. If you took French 1 in middle school and you want to do French 1 again, do you still get full credits? If not, how do you get full amount of credits for that?
So I'm sorry, is it about retaking it? Is that what the question
It
is?
looks like, yeah, it looks like they want to take French 1 again. So you don't have, so yeah, you don't have to. If you get credit, you're supposed to move on to French 2.
Yeah, actually, a letter went out, a communication came out on that. If you get a C or above, we are going to move you on to that next level, French 2. And somebody says this year looked differently, you know, being virtual at the middle schools. Just like any year, our Spanish 2, our French 2 teachers, our German 2 teachers, they make the needed adjustments. But if you get a C or better, you're getting high school credit. Our expectation is that you move on to the next level.
Can they switch a language is another big question, Mr.
Yeah, you can switch a language. Make sure you thoroughly think about that because you already have 1 year in. And you can progress to different levels. You know, for example, if your plan is to go into a higher level, an AP or IB course in language, you won't necessarily get there if you switch language. So make sure you're very thoughtful if you are switching languages.
Do you recommend students taking more than 2 years of world language? It totally depends on the student and college aspirations. Some colleges recommend 3 to 4 years. You're going to be compared to other students who have 3 to 4 years, getting into the more competitive colleges. So it's totally up to the student and how they feel and teacher recommendation. If they feel like if the teacher feels like they should go on, absolutely. They can take a, you know, like Mr. Koski said, they can get to that IB or AP level language.
Okay, so there's a couple questions about the MyStar stuff, so I want to talk about that for a few minutes. So what makes up our 16 classes and what counts towards it? So your 16 classes are going to be the classes, your required core classes, so your English, math, social studies, science, world language, and then 2 electives for each semester, so a total of 4 electives. So that makes up your 16, and then seminars included in there. That makes up your 16, and then the extra classes that you add after that, so maybe you add in an extra business class or an extra art class. Maybe you add in ceramics 2 because you want ceramics 1. Those would be your alternates. So you still add those into the list, and then next to them, you tell me in the drop-down menu what they're an alternate for.
And remember, I think one of the biggest confusions is, for example, if you're taking algebra for your math, you're going to enter that twice. You're going to enter algebra 1A and 1B. So I think
Correct.
that's 2 out of your 16. 2 English is 4 out of your 16. 2 of your science is 6 out of 16. So if that makes sense.
Our alternates offered in the summer. So the summer school is completely separate from your high school registration for next year. So whatever you want to do in the summer, you're welcome to sign up for that and look at the summer school catalog. And if you would like to have that grade earned in the summer school class put on your transcript, then you're able to do that. But if you don't want to, you're able to do that too. So they really operate as 2 separate things. Some students do take things in the summer and in an effort to then continue with things in the fall, but the registration for them is separate. Again, with the alternates, I know it's tricky. That little drop down box, you're not putting your alternate in the drop down box. The alternate is part of your list. The drop down box is telling me what is it an alternate for, and you should only have that drop down box being used for the last 4 classes that you enter.
Guys, yeah, we're going to kind of have to cut it off here in a minute. I just want to make sure our Hillside students and parents take advantage of the next part of this. That's the activities night. There is a separate link for that. And on that link, you can go to a bunch of different clubs or activities. I think they're in 10-minute sessions that you can go to each of those tonight. So that's still the second half of your night. we're going to bring in Meads Mill and talk to them and have the same discussion with them. Before, I again, wish we could get to all your questions, whether we are in person or virtually. We're never going to get to all the questions tonight, and I apologize for that. Please email your counselors if you have other specific questions, and they'll be able to answer those, but we're just never going to get to all the questions tonight, whether we're in person or virtual. Most importantly, again, I'd like to welcome, and we're excited to have the class of 2025. And very honestly, I'm looking forward to hopefully a more normal year next year. So, and that's a good thing for our incoming freshmen. So welcome, have a great night. Remember, you have a second part of the night, and that is getting with those clubs or activities that you may be interested in. And again, take advantage of those opportunities to find out about those things tonight. Panel members, we're going to end this meeting, and I'll start that Meads Mill mini meeting in a little bit here. Thank you for being with us tonight. Have a great night, and go Stangs.
Our emails are available on the website. There's just so many questions. Like we could probably do 2 hours of just Q&A.
We could. I'm going to end it right now. Sorry, parents and students. We got to go to the next meeting. So have a good one.